Did Luka Doncic ruin Dennis Smith Jr.'s career? Let's get into this. Quickly before we get the video started, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more NBA content just like this one, hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell. Anyways, back to the video. Dennis Smith Jr. was drafted 9th overall in the 2017 NBA draft to the Dallas Mavericks. Coming out of college, DSJ was definitely seen as one of the more talented players going into the NBA draft. And really the main reason why DSJ actually slid all the way down to that 9th overall spot was he was actually just coming off an ACL injury, and any college player coming into the NBA in general, whenever they're coming off a major injury, it's always a concern for NBA teams looking to draft them, especially if they're looking to draft them with a high lottery pick. But specifically with DSJ, a lot of teams were worried about it because he was just coming off an ACL injury, and when you actually watch DSJ in college and even in the NBA, you can tell that his athleticism is a major part of his game. So if DSJ loses his athleticism, hypothetically going into the NBA, it would have a major effect on his draft stock and his actual play in the NBA, and he wouldn't be the same player that he was previous, of course. Now, this ACL injury that Dennis Smith actually went through wasn't even in college, it was all the way back in high school. But whenever you have a pretty major injury that early on in your career, it's definitely a concern for different NBA teams, and that's really the main reason why he fell down to the 9th spot. Now, this is a little more severe, but a pretty good example of what I'm trying to say in terms of teams being scared of players if they have pretty major injuries early on in their career is a guy like Michael Porter Jr. Coming out of high school, Michael Porter Jr. was seen as a clear-cut #1 overall pick, guaranteed. He was just so talented. But of course, he had some issues with his back, and in college, he had a lot more issues with his back, and he ended up only getting drafted with the 15th overall pick in that year's draft when he was a clear-cut #1 overall guy. So it just shows you when there's major injuries involved, NBA teams definitely get scared, no matter how talented the guy is. But with that being said, DSJ got drafted by the Dallas Mavericks 9th overall, and going into his rookie season, a lot of people saw this guy as a potential face of the franchise. And in his rookie season, he definitely performed extremely well. He averaged 15.5 points per game on 40% shooting from the field. He also added 3.8 rebounds per game and 5.2 assists per game in his rookie season, which was a very above average season for a rookie, especially a guy who's drafted 9th overall. And at that point, a lot of people thought that the Dallas Mavericks actually got an absolute steal at that 9th overall spot. In his rookie year, Dennis Smith was definitely showing some crazy flashes of his crazy athleticism, getting some posterizing dunks, being a very above average scorer on the offensive side of the ball. One of the negatives about DSJ's game was his shooting ability, especially his three-point shooting ability. And in the NBA in his rookie season, DSJ proved that he was able to shoot that three. He wasn't necessarily good at it at that point, but he proved the ability to be decent at it going forward. And overall, there was just a lot of confidence in DSJ's game after his very successful rookie season. But in his rookie season, let's take his game point by point to really demonstrate why so many people had so much confidence in DSJ's game going forward. So of course, the main reason why DSJ was seen as one of the better players coming out of the draft and was even drafted at that 9th overall pick spot was the fact that he was great getting all the way to the basket. DSJ was incredibly athletic, and when he really got downhill and got all the way to the basket, it doesn't matter what defender was there. He was basically always going to dunk over them. Now, on the other hand, maybe DSJ relied on his athleticism a little too much in the sense that he was trying to dunk over each and every person every time he got to the basket. And of course, no matter how athletic you are, it's not going to work every single time you are in the NBA. Everybody's very athletic at that point. And I would have liked to see Dennis Smith rely on his finishing ability a little bit better in terms of his layup packages and really extend those. But either way, DSJ was a rookie at that point, and you would assume over time he would learn and really work on other aspects of his game in terms of his layup packages. But either way, Dennis Smith's driving and finishing ability was definitely seen as a very big strength for him. But now talking about DSJ's mid-range shooting ability, this was definitely something that was better than advertised in my opinion. Coming out of college, a lot of people didn't think DSJ could shoot whatsoever, but in the NBA, he definitely proved that he can somewhat shoot. From that mid-range area, he had the ability to catch and shoot pretty decently, but also something that he did pretty effectively was use his athleticism very well in terms of the pull-up mid-range jump shot, where he literally could just jump over everybody or jump higher than everybody else could, so nobody could really get a true contest on him, and he was just able to be pretty efficient with that mid-range shot, that pull-up mid-range shot. But that was basically the extent of his mid-range shooting ability. He had a little bit of a floater. I say this in a lot of my videos, but every point guard in my opinion should have a floater within their game, and DSJ definitely had one, but of course you would like to see it get a little better. But at the time, you have to realize this guy was still a rookie at this point, and you would assume over time he would get better and really refine some parts of his game. But the main ability in terms of his scoring ability and just confidence and athleticism getting all the way to the basket, all those things were were very good at that point. But now talking about DSJ's three-point shooting ability, he definitely struggled from that area. From time to time, he would have a game where he's shooting pretty effectively, but for the most part, this was definitely something he needed to work on. But overall, when you look at the full part of his game, he was definitely a very talented player and definitely someone that you are very excited about going forward after his rookie season, and the Dallas Mavericks were very excited about DSJ going forward. But after his rookie season going into his second season, this is where things kind of started to go south for DSJ. In the next season's draft, the Dallas Mavericks actually decided to trade up and draft a guy by the name of Luka Doncic. And you may say the fact that the Mavs actually drafted Luka, that means they had no confidence or little confidence in DSJ's ability going forward, but that wasn't necessarily the case. The thought process when the Mavs originally drafted Luka was to actually play DSJ and Luka besides each other and actually have them both be effective and both be superstars in this league going forward. That was their original thought process when drafting Luka. But very early on in the 2018 NBA season, two things were very apparent. First, it was very apparent that Luka very early in his career was looking to be an absolute superstar. He was able to do everything on the court. He had an incredible basketball IQ. He was a great three-point shooter, mid-range shooter, getting all the way to the basket. He was doing so many different things so effectively, and for the new NBA, he was basically perfect and was proving the ability to be a superstar in this league one day. And the other thing that was very apparent was DSJ and Luka just did not play well together. When you look at both of their games, both Luka and DSJ, they both kind of need the ball in their hands. And when you're talking about a guy like Dennis Smith, when he plays off ball, he's even worse than Luka would be. Dennis Smith, as I mentioned, wasn't necessarily able to shoot that three-point shot. Maybe eventually he would develop it within his game, hopefully at that point, but at that point he definitely didn't have that. So he's almost useless coming off ball unless he would make a quick cut to the basket and get a dunk off Luka's pass. But that would probably happen maybe once or twice a game. That's not necessarily something that would be sustainable. So DSJ was kind of seen as kind of useless, to be honest, when he was playing off ball. And when Luka was playing off ball, he was okay. He can hit that catch and shoot three-point shot, but Luka is just way too talented to play off ball. When you have a guy that looks to be a superstar very early on in his rookie season, you want to have the ball in his hands. So that's kind of why they didn't work out together. And now the Mavs needed to make a decision. Either they pick Dennis Smith and trade Luka Doncic, or they keep Luka and trade Dennis Smith, or they try to keep them both and try to make it work. Of course, it's not that difficult of a decision, and the Mavs ended up trading DSJ to the New York Knicks. Now, when DSJ originally went to the Knicks in his first season, he actually played pretty well. He was basically putting up the same numbers that he was in Dallas, putting up around 15 points per game, 42% shooting from the field, 5.4 assists, 2.8 rebounds, basically identical numbers to what he was doing in Dallas, which wasn't bad. These were actually pretty good numbers. And after his first season with the Knicks, people once again were excited to see what he can do going forward because he definitely showed a lot of talent. But unfortunately for DSJ, he completely lost all his confidence. Maybe he lost his confidence because he lost his job to Luka, or maybe he lost confidence because the Dallas Mavericks, the team that drafted him, only traded him one season into his NBA career, or 1.5 seasons. But whatever happened, it's kind of irrelevant. He completely lost his confidence. In the 2019 NBA season, he only averaged 5.5 points per game on an abysmal 34% shooting from the field. All his numbers were terrible. He's only getting 15 minutes per game at that point. Dennis Smith was definitely at a very low point at that point in his career. And unfortunately for DSJ, it never really got better. After that, the next season for the Knicks, he got even worse. He's playing less minutes, only averaging 3 points per game on a crazy terrible 20% shooting from the field. All the Knicks fans wanted him off the team. He was getting chants, "We want Frank," which is referring to Frank Ntilikina. They rather see him play than Dennis Smith, and that obviously hurt his confidence a lot as well. And at that point, I feel like his career with the New York Knicks, or maybe in the NBA as a whole, was kind of shot at that point. I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but once you're a good player, it doesn't matter. You could be the best player in the world. Once you lose your confidence, it's very difficult to get out of that. You could be the best player on your team by far, but if you lose your confidence, sometimes you could play worse than the worst player on your team. Confidence is that important in every sport, but especially in the NBA. And clearly, DSJ completely lost his confidence, and that kind of derailed his career. After his little stint with the Knicks, he went over to the Pistons, only playing 20 games, where he definitely played better than he did with the Knicks, and he had some games where he flashed some abilities, even getting a triple-double in one game. But either way, he wasn't playing to the level that he should have been playing, and it was clear at that point he completely lost his confidence. And now recently, DSJ actually signed a deal with the Portland Trail Blazers, a little training camp deal, so we'll see how that goes for him. Hopefully it goes well. Maybe learning under a guy like Damian Lillard, maybe that can help him out pretty significantly. But at this point, obviously DSJ's career hasn't gone in the direction he's wanted it to. But now answering the question of the video, did Luka actually ruin DSJ's career going forward? Because clearly he had something good going with the Dallas Mavericks before Luka got there. I don't necessarily think it's fair to say that Luka completely ruined DSJ's career. Maybe if Luka never got drafted to the Mavericks, DSJ would have had a better career. He would have stayed with the Mavericks. Maybe they would have built around them and made it easier for him. And maybe he wouldn't have lost his confidence, of course, as well. That's a big part of it. But very easily, DSJ could have just went to the Knicks and continued to work on his game and hopefully definitely kept his confidence up, and he could have played very well for the Knicks. And if he played very well for the Knicks, it would have been a better opportunity for him than playing very well for the Mavericks, of course. So I don't necessarily think it's fair to say that Luka ruined his career. Were there things that maybe would have made it easier on Dennis Smith if Luka never got drafted to the Mavericks? Definitely yes. But to say that Luka kind of ruined his career, I don't think that's necessarily fair to say. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys think Luka Doncic ruined Dennis Smith Jr.'s career, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that post notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.